Hey, welcome back to Kitchen All Over the World. On today's episode, we're going to be cooking with pot. It's Testi Kebab from Turkey. Join me. So traditionally, Testi Kebab is cooked in a sort of vase shaped thing made out of terracotta. This guy is not one of those. I searched all the Turkish neighborhoods in the area, which there's one of, and they A, didn't have them, or B, didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So I got this. Normally they have a seam that when you're done cooking, it just pops right open and you pour it out on a plate. I'm going to try and pour it out of the small hole when it's done, but it'll probably not fit, so I may have to just smash it and have a little fun. So yeah, everything gets cooked in here. So considering the size of that hole, it's like maybe 1.5 inches, if that. I'm gonna have to cut everything pretty small. So let's get started. I've got 500 grams, so half a kilo of lamb, and this is some shoulder meat. So it should be nice and tasty. You see all that fat on there? That is a good thing. We want that because that'll break down and add a ton of lamby goodness flavor. So let's see, will those fit? I may have to go even smaller. I was going to do bite-sized pieces, but we'll cut those in half. Child bite-sized pieces. It's all going to break down eventually anyway, hopefully. Next up, I've got about 200 grams of these little onions. You can either use these or shallots, and since these are too big to fit in there, I'm going to have to, again, cut these small. Hopefully that's all right and they don't break down too much. Got a whole head of garlic here. Squish that like that. Get a little paper out of the way. I'm just going to remove these little stems. I've seen two versions of the recipe where either you leave them in whole or you smash them up in a mortar and pestle. I'm just gonna do the old smash it with my trusty blade. And I think that'll do the trick. Really what you want, I mean, it's gonna be stewing over a decent amount of time. So I just want to open these up and make sure that all the juices get in to everything else and they start to break down a little bit. Plus it's really fun to smash. Next up, I've got some gnarly looking poblano chilies. Now normally you would use some long green peppers that I don't know, in the Turkish version of the recipes they just said green peppers. So I have no idea what those long green Turkish peppers are, but usually the long peppers that I see are types of chilies, and it did call for some chili pepper as well, so let's kill two birds with one stone with these guys. Next up, I'm going to throw in a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. And a couple sticks of cinnamon. I'm going to try and break those up. A little bit of rosemary. Probably, what is that, a couple teaspoons, maybe a tablespoon or so. Some crushed black pepper. Decent amount. And some salt. In this case, I've got some crazy black salt. Doesn't really have any sort of weird flavor to it. So why not? A bit of oil to bind everything together. Now I'm going to roll up my sleeves because I'm going to sort of mush this around by hand. Just want to mix everything together so that all those different seasonings and ingredients are touching each other. All right, now let's see if we can fit this in here. First thing I want to do is put a little bit of oil in the bottom and just roll it around like so. Looks good. And I'm going to start feeding that in the top. And I'm just going to put in however much I can fit. If you got leftovers, just seen different recipes call for using just a casserole dish with a tight fitting lid. So if you want to do it that way, then go for it. If you only have one pot, then you're going to end up smashing it like I am. And just kind of shove that down with your finger. Now, in order to make this into a stew rather than a losing all the vapor out of the top, we're going to cover up that hole with some dough. So it'll be a nice little bread kind of thing. Don't need much, it's a very small hole. So I'm going to take a 1/3 of a cup of flour, a couple sprinkles of salt, and a 1/3 of a cup of water. Start mixing. As with any other bread dough, it starts out looking kind of soupy, and then it'll start looking way too dry, and then it'll end up being just right. Okay, that looks like too much dough, so I'm going to take about half of that. And as you can see, I've been soaking this since it's terracotta. I don't want it to really shatter. I'm going to wet one side of the dough just so that it sticks a little better. Really want to wrap that nice and tight. And then with a knife, we're going to poke a nice hole in the middle, just to let the steam out. You want to keep most of it in, but you want to get a couple holes in there just to let the rest out so it doesn't rupture. All right, now that that's ready, we're going to pop it into an oven that's been preheated to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 degrees centigrade. And we're going to let that go for 1 hour. I feel like Link smashing those pots. Wish I would have found some rupees or something. But I think that this is, judging by the way it smells, just as good as some rupees. Wow, there's a lot going on there. Earthy, hearty, just tasty mess of meat and peppers. So surprisingly enough, even though I only put in those 2 sticks of cinnamon, that is one of the dominant flavors here. That and the tomato paste kind of meld together to create this sort of just earthy, spicy, round overtone for this entire dish. And the peppers just provide this little bit of fresh punch kind of to counteract that. I gotta say, this method of cooking, I guess it's similar to a pressure cooker, right? You've got a lid on it that lets just a little bit of steam out. So even in 1 hour, I've got massively tender lamb going on right now. And it is absolutely delicious. It's got sort of like almost a North African kind of vibe because of that cinnamon punch. Yeah, it's herbal and earthy and round. And just, I mean, the oil kind of like makes sure that your mouth is coated in all those flavors. One thing that you do have to do is avoid the shards of pottery. But other than that, I would say 100%. If you got the time, put this together because damn.